This is by LDY Songs, and it's a very cheap budget song that actually doesn't cut a lot of corners. So let's go ahead and get right into this, and we're going to start off by a little bit of a disclaimer. In this video, I'm going to be doing things a little bit differently, mainly with how I deliver and the whole flow of this video, because I feel like recently I haven't been as genuine in front of the camera. I feel like I have been just kind of doing a review and then, that's it. I feel like I've just been, keeping my personality out of this, and I want to do more of that because I'm not just someone who sits behind a camera. I'm an actual human being. I'm an actual person who has a life. So I want to portray that to you guys. I don't just want to sit here and let the knife do the talking. And while that's fun to an extent, it's, only so much entertainment wise for you guys and for me, because I do get tired of, sitting down, reading a list, and then just hoping it turns out well, because honestly, some of the equipment hasn't even supported me. I recently got some new equipment for my camera, and hopefully you guys be able to tell sound-wise it's a little bit better with the microphone, but sometimes when I recorded throughout last year, it kind of felt like I would be recording for it to supposedly not even work out, because sometimes my batteries would be so dead or so bad because I had to replace them. They were actually shot that they wouldn't even last 5 minutes in my camera, and I would be recording as fast as possible to try and hope that I get it on my SD card before my camera inevitably dies. So yeah, I'm glad that now recording doesn't feel like it's all for nothing, but let's just dive back into this video. So this is starting out at $84.99 on their website. Currently they are sold out, so you can't actually go there and get one, but they are pretty stinking cheap for the specs you get. Specifically for the handles, you get 7075 aluminum alloy. For the live blade here, you get 440C. Zen pins for the tang system, and you also get bushings for the performance system inside this knife. And you also get some nice aluminum alloy spacers that have jimping on the sides. As far as the construction feels, it feels pretty rigid. The bushings definitely help keep this knife super solid in the tolerance department. Also helping this is definitely the titanium washers, which are a new addition to this knife. I have not really seen many other knives out there use titanium for the washers, so I think this is really cool. As far as how different it is compared to brass washers or copper washers, when it comes to flipping the knife itself, I personally can't notice much of a difference. The whole reason they put it in there was to be better at being rigid and to help the durability of the washers itself, but I think it really is just to add an improvement to the knife to make it sort of more unique than the original one. And I feel like that is what they did in this one. It's not much of a huge change or a needed one really, but it definitely adds to the knife. I will say from the tuning perspective, lapping this for me at least was a little bit more difficult, but that's mainly because I lap anything at super fine grit sandpaper, so it always is going to take a super long time to tune anything for me. But honestly, as far as the experience goes with this new washer system, I can't really complain about it. So for me, it gets the pass. We should talk about the tune on this knife. When it came out of the box, it was a bit iffy, so I did have to get some new bushings for this knife, and that's where some of the confusion I have for this knife starts. Apparently, the bushings from the V1 are not compatible with this knife, yet when I ordered the V1 hardware kit, because it's the only hardware kit that does contain bushings, and put those bushings inside the v1.5, they still worked. So when I asked one of the admins on LDY if I should order the hardware kit that only has bushings and put them in the 1.5, he said yes. But the other admin that I asked the very same question to gave me the opposite answer. So there was a lot of confusion in trying to figure out which bushings were compatible, if they were compatible, and if I should spend $25 on a hardware kit, which is what I inevitably spend it on, basically just 4 bushings for a knife that I didn't need anything else for. I could have probably measured and found a cheaper equivalent on USA Knife Maker or another hardware website, but honestly, I didn't want to do that. I just wanted to go directly to the maker because that's where I thought would have the best advice. But clearly, it's kind of split down the road there when it comes to advice. I would really just appreciate accurate responses, because you guys are the admins. You are in charge of giving people info. So you should be able to give people the right info, and also you shouldn't be giving people opposite responses of each other, because that is where the confusion starts. So yeah, bit of a rocky road there when it comes to that, but honestly, that's not a huge deal. The V1 hardware bushings ended up working in this, so anyone out there looking for v1.5 compatible bushings, just buy the V1 hardware kit, or measure them yourself and go on TrueLink and find compatible bushings. But I did not do that, so you should do that instead. It will save you money. Anyways, let's talk about performance. But before we do, we're starting the new thing on this channel, which is to do a flipping sesh. I want to start, like, whenever we review a knife, I just want to take a nice little break in the video, chill out for a bit, put some nice music on, and just flip for a little bit, because I feel like you really do have to just show people you flip in order to review this balisong. So let's just go ahead and start doing that. So let's go ahead and get flipping. All right, so I think that'll be a pretty cool thing to keep doing from now on in these reviews. I really do just want to start like casually flipping for you guys in these videos to really, show you guys how this knife does flip, because sometimes it isn't just about how someone describes the knife flipping to you. It also is about watching it yourself to really hone in on how the knife is going to flip in your hands. I'm kind of off and on this knife. I haven't really been super 100% positive about this knife. There are some things I do definitely think this knife could benefit from. I think this knife would be really, really cool in a titanium version. Maybe it's just me, but I feel like the lower weight is just not really my thing. Sometimes whenever I try and put a little bit more wrist action in these lighter weight aluminum knives, they tend to just kind of want to do their own little thing. They try and like skip a few steps in front of me, and like I'll end up just like rotating the knife really, really fast and it flying off into the corner of my room for some random reason. That's just because I put extra muscle into it, because I'm more used to heavier knives. And that's a fine thing, but personally for me, I prefer heavier knives. So the 3.73 ounces that this knife is weighing at is maybe a little bit too light for me. As far as the balance goes, I actually really do like the balance on this one. It was a little bit blade bias at first, but as I got used to it, this knife just kind of feels neutral to me now. And honestly, I don't have any trouble doing certain tricks. The only trick that I feel like I have a little bit of trouble with is rollovers, but I feel like that also could be due to the knife's size. It isn't the smallest knife in the world, and sometimes the size of the handles affects how you do rollovers depending on, your demographic and, how your hands are and stuff like that, how you're used to doing rollovers. So for me, this knife does rollovers just a little bit differently, a little bit more out of the ordinary than I normally would do, I think because of its length. This knife is 10 inches long and over, so it is a sizable knife. At least, it's up there in total length. But overall, if I'm going to give this a rating, which I'm going to start doing more often now, is honestly, I think I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. The confusion on the bushings and stuff wasn't ideal, and honestly, this knife isn't perfect. There are knives out there that I think are definitely better. But for the price, I feel like a 7 out of 10 is really, really good, because there's not many knives out there that I would say that at the same price can perform nearly as good, because a lot of other companies are making sacrifices to not only gain as much money as they can, but also to spend less money as they can. Overall, I feel like LDY definitely came through with a cheap alternative that does not sacrifice. But overall, again, 7 out of 10. This knife is good and is really good for the money, especially at $90. But, you know, it's still not perfect. But that's just me. That's the whole hobby is subjective. Everybody feels differently. And for me, this is a 7 out of 10. But overall, yeah, I'm definitely not disappointed at all with this knife. I feel like this knife is pretty neat. And I'm going to be rocking it for a little bit. So if you guys want to see some flips more, just put that down in the comment section. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. See you next time. Peace.